Hello and welcome back to Intellibooks. When people talk about healthcare AI, the real challenge is not building just another chatbot. It's building AI that can work with complex healthcare data while staying grounded, explainable, and controlled.
Exactly. And that's where Intellibooks comes in. It's an AI platform for building intelligent agents that connect to real data sources, apply business logic, and keep humans in control. According to Intellibooks' own platform material, the focus is on governed, auditable agents with logged actions and human approval where it matters.
Right. And today we're looking at two healthcare use cases built in that style. One for providers and one for payers. The ICD coding agent and the claim audit agent.
Yeah. And they solve two sides of the same revenue cycle problem. One helps teams code clinical documentation correctly, and the other checks whether a billed claim is actually supported by that documentation.
So let's start with the situation. Healthcare organizations deal with thousands of diagnosis and procedure codes, and even a small coding error can mean delays, denials, or revenue leakage.
A provider-side coder has to read a clinical note, interpret what is documented, and assign the right code. Meanwhile, the payer gets the claim and asks, hold on, does the chart really support what was built?
And that means both sides are spending serious time reviewing the same records, just from opposite directions.
Exactly. Providers are asking, did we code this right? Payers are asking, does this claim support the bill diagnosis? Same data, different task.
Which brings us to the task itself. For providers, the job is to read the note, identify the relevant diagnosis or procedure, and validate the suggested code before it reaches billing.
And for payers, the task is to compare the claim against the supporting note, spot inconsistencies, and show evidence for why a claim should be reviewed. Not just a verdict, but an explanation.
Right, because in healthcare, black box automation is not enough.
Absolutely. The agent needs to show how it got there. That's the difference between a flashy demo and a usable workflow. And honestly, people in coding and audit teams know that immediately.
So let's demo the provider side first. Imagine the user enters a note that says, patient with type 2 diabetes, uncontrolled with chronic kidney disease stage 3.
The ICD coding agent reads that note and suggests a diagnosis code. In this example, the diabetes with diabetic chronic kidney disease code is E11.22. Official ICD-10 resources list E11.22 for type 2 diabetes mellitus with diabetic chronic kidney disease.
But here's where it gets more useful than a simple lookup, right?
Right. The agent can also surface documentation requirements and related coding detail. For chronic kidney disease stage 3, official materials distinguish stage 3A as N18.31 and stage 3B as N18.32. So the agent can flag that more specificity may be needed in the note.
So the workflow becomes read the note, suggest the code, validate it against trusted coding references, and point out what's missing before the claim goes out.
Exactly. And the result is less manual searching, more consistent coding practices, and better documentation quality before the payer even sees the claim. The final decision still stays with the qualified coding professional.
Now let's switch to the payer side. Say the claim is billed with E11.22, but the supporting note only says type 2 diabetes with no documented complications.
Then the claim audit agent highlights a mismatch. In that case, a documentation supported alternative may be E11.9, which official ICD-10 materials list as type 2 diabetes mellitus without complications.
And importantly, the agent is not jumping to a dramatic conclusion like fraud.
Exactly. It identifies the discrepancy, shows the clinical evidence, and recommends human review. And if historical claims are available, it can also look for repeated patterns that may deserve closer attention.
So instead of an auditor manually digging through dozens or hundreds of claims, the system can prioritize what actually deserves attention.
Yeah, green means the documentation supports the code. Yellow means something may be incomplete. Red means there's a significant mismatch that should be investigated by a human.
And this is really where the Intellibooks architecture matters.
It does. Intellibooks describes its agents as governed and auditable, with action logging, configurable model routing, and human-in-the-loop controls. So the AI can reason over clinical and claims data, but validation, evidence, and approval stay in the workflow.
Which means one platform can support two sides of healthcare operations.
For providers, code it right. For payers, catch what doesn't match. And behind both is the same idea. Connect AI reasoning to real data, business logic, and human oversight.
Because the goal is not just to automate a decision.
It's to make the right decision easier to verify.
That's Intellibooks.